And of course, Reds all over the world are currently in mourning because they know in just a few days they will be watching this man, Jurgen Norbert Klopp, depart Anfield after 9 thrilling years where he has brought glory and he has brought excitement to one of the world's football's finest clubs. And it's not the moment that everybody wanted, but it's inevitable and it will be coming pretty soon. Well, joining us now, all the way from London in the United Kingdom, is Dan Morgan. Now Dan is actually an author. He's the author of the book Jurgen Said To Me, Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool, and the Remaking of a City. Dan, thank you so much for joining us tonight on Game On. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. First and foremost, let's start with the book. What inspired the book? And I can tell because of that famous Anfield chant, Jurgen said to me, you know, he will win the Premier League. You know, he'd said so. Was that the idea behind this book?
It was definitely the inspiration for the title. I think that the idea stems more from the concept of what Jurgen Klopp has done in terms of his impact on the city of Liverpool. So, you know, Liverpool's gone through a big journey as a city over the last 9 years. It's like everywhere else been part of a pandemic. But also it's a city that's steeped in history. It's steeped in storytelling. You know, it's a very emotional place. And he's a very emotional manager. And I just thought if I could tell the story of his impact on the place as well as the football club, then, you know, I thought that would be something of interest. And I started writing the book after Liverpool won the FA Cup in 2022. And, you know, from that, it wasn't due to come out until next year, but then he decided and announced he's going to leave Liverpool at the end of this season. And so the timing's been good for the book, I'd say, but not for Liverpool supporters.
Well, Dan, I really have to ask this. What made Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp such a wonderful marriage? I mean, he's German, he comes from a different society, different way of thinking, but he and Liverpool blended almost so seamlessly that, I mean, people are in tears all over the world. What made this such a wonderful union, in your opinion?
I think Liverpool have always had a tendency and a desire to find a sort of totemic, messianic figure as a manager. You know, you think about Bill Shankly and the way in which he would sort of poetically go about his business as Liverpool manager. He was very much a sort of spokesperson for the people. And I think there's always been the notion that to get to the top again, Liverpool needed a figure like Shankly, somebody who could speak to the people, somebody who could get everybody on board. And they really did believe in Jurgen Klopp, you know, from his first press conference where he told the supporters that they needed to turn from doubters to believers. He really did say and do the right things for Liverpool. And I think there's something else which is really key, and it might go a little bit forgotten, but, you know, he built a team in the city's image. Liverpool's a very hard-working place. It's a very honest place. You know, it's a place that prides itself on togetherness and real core values, working class values, and he built the most hard-working, you know, together communal side that you could imagine. And so it was a side that was easy to support. His message was believable, and he was somebody who you could get behind because of the personality he is. You know, he's very sort of left-leaning and quite liberal and social in his outlook, and I would say Liverpool majoritively is of that opinion too. And so, you know, he really was a manager who was unquestioned by the supporters. And I think the reason why is because, first and foremost, he delivered on his promise to make Liverpool great again. But secondly, I think what was really special about Jurgen Klopp was that he did it really in the values of Liverpool as a city. And, you know, ultimately football is about seeing something that represents yourself in some form. You know, you go to this and you invest in this activity, which is a hobby, you know, it's a leisure activity really, but why do we do it? Well, we do it to see some form of value and representation in ourselves, and he certainly gave the people of Liverpool and Liverpool supporters that.
Wally, you have a question?
Yeah, Dan, how you doing? I love your Scouse accent,
Hello.
by the way. Yeah, very strong Scouse
Trying to
accent.
slow it down as much as I can.
Yeah, it's all good, it's all good. But Dan, I wanted to quickly ask you, You've talked about Bill Shankly as well in this conversation. Where do you think Liverpool fans of this generation, where do you think where are they going to rank, Jurgen Klopp as manager? How high are they going to rank him? Does he rank above Bill Shankly, especially for this generation of Liverpool fans?
I spoke to Bill Shankly's granddaughter for the book, and she said that she definitely could see parallels with her granddad. And I think for Liverpool supporters, in terms of his legacy and his mark on the club, I think he'll definitely be up there with the best. I think he'll be up there with the Shankleys, the Paisleys, the Dalglishers. And the reason why is because, first and foremost, he ended the 30-year title drought at Anfield. And even though we couldn't be there in person to see it, Liverpool were starving for Premier League success, and he delivered that. But secondly, and this is the thing that Liverpool supporters need to remember, because there's a lot of tribalism in football, and there's a lot of supporters who don't support Liverpool who will tell you that he never won enough trophies. He built what is close to the perfect football team. Liverpool amassed in the calendar year of 2019 103 points. That is as close to perfect as you're going to see at this level. So no one can say he didn't build a perfect football team. No one can say that the amount and the levels that his teams performed at weren't at the very highest standard. He built a side which people who lived through the Shankly era were openly saying, that was better than anything they'd ever seen before. And so, he was ultimately a man of the people, and he was ultimately, a legacy of a person who was really sort of a uniting figure for Liverpool. Okay. But he also he built a side that was only by the virtue of Manchester City would have won a lot more, and should have probably won a lot more in terms of the luck that they didn't have in terms of who they went up against and when. So I think that'll be his ultimate legacy, really.
Well, thank you very much, Dan. But before we go, Onye, she has one final question for you before we wrap this up. Onye?
Yes, Dan. I know that after he made that announcement, there were a lot of emotions running in the air. One good thing about Jurgen Klopp is that he had control of the dressing room. But do you think after the announcement that he'll be leaving the end of this season, did he lose control of the dressing room? Because we did see that reaction from Mohamed Salah at the touchline.
No, I don't think so. Everybody was saying the opposite when Liverpool won the Carabao Cup in February, that, his announcement that he was leaving had a positive impact. Oh, yeah. And so, you can't just, I don't think you can pick and choose your narrative based on results. Essentially, him and Mohamed Salah had a bit of a touchline spat, but that, if you look back through Salah's history and his sort of his activity when he's not playing, he's never been the happiest of characters. So I think in the world of elite professional football, I think these things are a lot more sort of casually taken and addressed, and I think he's always garnered the respect of the dressing room, the manager. I think ultimately Liverpool fell short because they weren't able to have the right amount of expertise and I would say physical output to get over the line in the last 8 games of the season, and that's totally fine. Liverpool have improved massively on last season. They are going to finish in the Champions League places. They're above Manchester United and Newcastle, who finished above them, and they won a trophy. So it's the foundations are there for the next manager. It looks like it's going to be Arne Slot, and the foundations are there for him to really take Liverpool forward.
Okay. Well, Dan Morgan, author of Jurgen Said To Me, the book about Jurgen Klopp and the wonderful club of Liverpool and the city. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Game On. We absolutely enjoyed your presence and breaking down what Klopp meant to Liverpool and the city. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Take care.